Hello, this is Trevor Lewis again from the Voyager Middle School STEAM Lab, and today I'm here with a video about how to use Google Forms quizzes in Google Classroom to gather feedback from students or to do formative or summative assessments. So we're going to start off with being inside my Google Classroom and how these quizzes look. So when I click on this quiz, I've got a quiz right here, and I've attached a Google form, and if I click into the quiz, I can see that this is gathering my email address, which for me is great because it's got my name in it, but for students, we'll just have an ID number. So that's why I always have the first question is, what is your name? So that I don't have to look up their ID number. I have it there too. So this is set up for me to right now to take the quiz. And you can see this is a 3D printing quiz, so I could click on it and then click next, and I didn't type my name. See, it's a required question. You can tell because of the red asterisk, so it won't let me go on until I've done it. It gives me the next question, and I keep going. Right here, since I own this form, I can edit the form. So I'm not going to save my changes to the response I was making. You can see on this quiz, I've got questions here, and I've got different sections, and you can see there's a after section, continue to the next section. So as I'm scrolling down here, I can add things to my quiz. I can import questions, add images, add videos, add sections. And when I add questions, there's a whole bunch of question types. Where'd that question go that I just added? Here it is up at the top. So here's these question types. You can see there's a whole bunch of different ways to ask questions. And as I'm doing it, I can also put an answer key. When I do the answer key, I can type in the answer and tell it how many points it's worth, but also I can add answer feedback. So if they get their answer wrong, I can say here's how you got the answer wrong. I can even attach a video to explain it to them or a link. And if they get a correct answer, I can say the same thing. I can say, that's great, you got that right, and here's a video for more learning. So quizzes are really useful for getting these things into your classroom, but the thing that I like best about them is the auto grade feature. So let's go back here. When I made this quiz, I have grade importing turned on, and so that means that instead of having to grade each one of these by hands, I can just push import grades, and that answer key, which will automatically be graded by Google Classroom, will import the answers. So let me show you how to get this started. So there's two ways really. One is to make the form first. The other is to make the form right here in Google Classroom, although it actually takes you to forms. So if I want to make the form in Google Classroom, I go to quiz assignment, and it will automatically make me a form. So that says blank quiz, and I have all these different options. So for the quiz, if I want to do grade importing, I have to choose this, and grade importing only works if you are doing one class at a time. So that's really, really important. Now, you don't have to make the quiz for each class. What you do is you make the quiz once in your first class, and then when you're ready to reuse the quiz, you can reuse the post from the other classes, or you can make a new assignment, and then when there's no quiz down here, you can just add from Google Drive, and you can find your quiz. So in that way, I can use, here's a measuring quiz I made several years ago that I still use, and when I hit add, all of a sudden I get all of those grade importing, locked mode on Chromebooks, which really only works if you're in the room with the Chromebooks, because they can use a different device to get to a tab if they're not in your classroom. So that's how you're going to get started. Once you're in the form, then you can set everything up. So let me show you another way to get to Google Forms. If you are making the form and you're not in Google Classroom and you want to attach it later, you just go to your Google Drive, and you can make a new Google Doc or a Google Sheet or Google Slide, but Google Forms is a little less likely, so you have to go down to More and choose Google Forms. So if I click on Google Forms, it's going to open up a brand new Google form, and if I click on this icon right here, I get to the main Google Forms page. So these are all of my forms. So you can see that there's some templates right here. There's a course evaluation, a blank quiz, a worksheet, an assessment, a quiz. So you can see there's this blank quiz we just created just now. So I can, if I don't want to keep that, I can remove it. Here's another blank quiz I created, remove it. So you can see I have all these different tests that I can use. I can use these for surveys. I can use these for assessments. You got worksheets, assessments, exit tickets, and if I expand the template gallery, there's none in our specific district right now, but if you go here, you've got different things. Like they even have like a t-shirt sign up or event registration. You're right. There's a lot of ways you can gather information, but these ones up top right here are very good for education. So let's say I take one of these and I click on it. it's going to give me some basics, and I want to show you a couple of really key settings. So you can see they've got some placeholder text here. This is going to show up at the top of the page. You always want to have this be your first question. Name is really important because your students will show up as their ID number at mclta.wednet.edu, and you will not have that. This is less useful, so I might delete this by clicking on it and click delete. You can see for each question, I can click a checkbox to make it required, and I already talked about the answer key. You've got other question types right here, so I can just add the question and then choose whether I want a drop-down menu, checkboxes. Checkboxes allows you to check more than one. A linear scale, a multiple choice grid, that would allow you to pick one for each column or row. A checkbox grid allows you to pick a bunch of different things, okay? And maybe your answer needs to be a date or a time. So you can choose all these different things here. Some of these will auto-grade better than others. Short answers and paragraphs will not auto-grade very well. So you have to actually go in and look at those individual projects, the responses, by clicking on responses. So right now I don't have any responses. So if I did, I would have individual and summaries. You can see I can also click here and it will link it to a spreadsheet in Google Sheets where you can actually see all those things. But let me talk to you about the settings that you're going to need. So you're going to go up here to settings. You've got things like the theme, so you can change the way this looks. You can preview it so you can see what it would look like if you were actually taking the quiz. Or you've got settings, and this is really important. So here's what I recommend for quizzes. You can see there's actually a whole quizzes section, right? And you can say, I want to release their grade as soon as they take it, or you can do it after, at the end. And you can see they can see the missed questions, they can see the correct answers, they can see the point values. You might want to do this if you are really concerned about cheating and you want to wait until everyone's taking the test and then release all your answers all at once. But the important settings actually for the quiz, I think, are on this page right here. So I always keep this on for my students because I want to make sure that they're using their right account. I always keep this on, limit one response, even though I let my kids retake their quiz. I'm going to tell you how to fix that in a second. And I always click this one too. I want to collect their email addresses because that way if they don't put their name on it, or sometimes my students will put their first answer as their name, at least I have a recourse where I can see actually what their ID number is. I would not let them edit it after submit, and I would not let them see summary charts and text responses because that way they can see everybody else's answers. So this is the really one important to have on, and I have this one on, although you could not, but I think that's confusing. So what I do with my quizzes is I leave that on, and then let's go to my overhangs quiz here. When I go to responses, you can see that I've got a summary, and you can see that these are in chronological order. So that's a little tricky to know which student is which thing. But you can see there I have the ID numbers, which I'm going to blur out here. But if you know their ID number, you can click on this and it will take you to that individual answer. So that's the way you can see what the name is. And now I'm in the individual answers section. So you can see this is response number 187 out of 166. So what I have to do is I usually have to page through these responses if I want to see their individual things. You can also see there's the score right there, and you've got a release score button so I can send the score back to him. And I can scroll down and I can see their actual answers. These are the actual answers and what they got right and what they got wrong. Oh, they didn't understand this one, so maybe I need to talk to them about this one. So that's how I view responses. Another way to view responses is when you go into the grading screen by clicking on this assignment. Sometimes this student hasn't taken the assignment, but sometimes you click on the student and it will have right here their responses. And if you click there, it'll take you directly to their individual responses. But sometimes, even though the student took the quiz, that's not here because I think they took off the attachment, which is not great. But you can still get to the assignments. So when you've got these all in there and you're ready to do all your grading, you can press import grades. It will overwrite all of these grades. So I have this worth 5 points. If my quiz is actually worth 10, it'll score them out of 10. So I might have to make that match, or what I do if I want it to be a 5-point assignment is I look at the grades and I go in and change them by hand all at once. And then if they resubmit, I only do the ones individually. To have a student retake a quiz. So let's say I want this student to retake the quiz. I'm going to scroll back up to the top. I have this button right here. I just delete the response. So if I've already got the grade in the gradebook, if I already got the grade in Google Classroom and I want them to be able to retake it, I usually conference with them. I have them find their ID number on the summary page so I don't have to page through and find their response. And then I click delete, and then it lets them retake the quiz. If they try and retake the quiz before I delete it, it'll say, you've already taken this quiz. So that allows me to sort of control when they retake it, how many times they retake it, and things like that, so that I get a much better results and I don't have people just trying every answer in the multiple choice, because that's not real learning. So that's my video about using Google Classroom to submit Google Forms quizzes. So if you have any questions, go ahead and post a comment. If you have any suggestions or things you want more details on, post a comment, and I'll see you in the other videos.